Good morning and welcome to Apex Online Racing. We're here today for round number 2 of Season 2 here in China for the AOR Oceania League on PS4. My name's Alex. Most of you will know me as Curly. I'm once again joined in the commentary box by VTI, and we're going to be broadcasting this race and taking you through it. We had a good race last time out in Australia, a pretty dominant win from Dubsy there. Really phenomenal performance from him, has to be said. But some other good battles all the way throughout the field, in particular the battle for second place was something quite special. Definitely recommend going back and catching that one. But we're here at the Shanghai circuit, and VTI, I'll go to you straight away on this. I mean, what are your opinions on this track, and how do you think it's different from where we were last week?
A little bit more unusual, Curly. We've got a lot of overtaking opportunities here in Shanghai. It's much easier to follow cars, and it's also a track of compromise, much compared to Melbourne, where high downforce was the answer. Do you want straight line speed? Do you want good traction? Do you want good Sector 2 pace? All these variables will probably decide the outcome of the race.
Yeah, in particular, I mean, looking after the tyres as the stints go on here, it will be a one-stop strategy we're expecting from most of the drivers. Some may bail onto a two-stop if they have issues, but I think anybody with, a clean run will probably stay on that one-stop strategy. For those that are a little tougher on their tyres, we're expecting them to go to the mediums in the second half of the race, but for those that are maybe just driving a little bit more conservatively, and in particular perhaps not pushing so much through those fast corners, may well look to go onto the soft compound tyres towards the end of the race. I mean, VTI, you're someone that's, you showed last season that, you're very good at keeping your tyres. If you're going into this race today, I mean, where would you be looking to perhaps just ease off a little bit and to keep those tyres in check?
Particularly with the super soft, Curly, it's very difficult to manage. And I think this circuit is sort of different compared to others. Tyre seems to be a little higher than normal. From the practice I've done with the runners here earlier on today, it looked like the soft tyre wasn't holding on that long. We could get to maybe lap 12 or so and its performance would lose. So it looks like if you were going to do an undercut, lap 11 or 12, if you can make your super softs last that long, go straight to the medium from there. And it'll all come down to whoever makes that undercut first, I think.
Ooh, bit of a curveball for the drivers here straight away in qualifying. We have some rain. It doesn't look too heavy at the moment. I'm assuming intermediate conditions, but this is the first rain that I think we've seen this season. Australia was completely dry, so now is a good opportunity for these drivers to show their prowess in the wet. I do have some extra information for you. A couple of stewards' inquiries after the last race. There were a couple of incidents in qualifying at Albert Park, and our championship leader Dubsy, as well as Banana Josh, who had a good, but has to be said, a bit of a laggy race in Australia. He has fixed his connection for this round as well, which is good to see. They both have qualifying bans for this event, so they're going to be starting right down back at the back of the grid in 16th and 17th most likely. So I mean, this will be interesting. Dubsy, he was dominant in Australia, you've got to say that, and how many points will he be able to put on the board today starting from the back? I think he's going to be the one to watch this afternoon in Shanghai. But I mean, for wet conditions, apparently we do have a dry race as well, so if you were sat there in the pit lane at the moment, VTI, what tires would you think you would start on possibly?
I think it's a no-brainer for the soft tyre, really. Depending on what your qualifying pace is going to be like in this session, like everyone is going to basically judge their tyre choice on where they're going to qualify. So if you're outside the top 10 in this wet session, it looks like you're going to pick the mediums or pick the soft tyre and try and make that go as long as possible. I would think that the super soft is sort of out the window now, really, unless somebody decides to start the race on mediums, get the mediums going all the way as far as lap 18, and putting on the super soft towards the end. So it will all come down to grid position, I think, and that's what will determine people's strategies. Obviously, you've got Dubsy there. He's going to start at the back, and I think he'll be a little disappointed that it's raining, because he'd certainly be looking to capitalise on the front runners who will all probably go for the super soft tyre, and any sort of alternative strategy he could play with his pace advantage. Maybe he was hoping to get a podium position out of that, but let's not rule him out yet. His pace is still very strong, and in the wet conditions, let's see how all the other drivers fare. It's anyone's guess for pole position, really.
I've just watched Dynamite go straight on at the hairpin. He might have missed his braking point there. You've got to be, in a very heavy braking zone like that, you have to be considerably earlier on the brakes. He's run wide again through the final corner. So Dynamite finding it somewhat difficult in these tricky conditions. This first lap in qualifying is always, I'd say, the most difficult one for sure, because you don't really know whereabouts the grip is. You don't quite know how hard you can push that car in the braking zones and the traction zones. So I'm expecting these times to improve quite a lot as the session goes on, so long as the conditions stay the same. VTI, I'm getting quite a big echo off of you at the moment, but just at the start of this session, you've really got to be careful and make sure you don't put it in the wall. Pretty much just learn the track, learn the conditions, and then as you go on through the session, then you can start looking to push the boundaries and pick up the pace a little bit. We can see Dynamite, he's been quite smooth on this lap so far. He's just learning where the grip is. He's got a lot of fuel in, so he's going to be looking to do multiple laps, and personally that's my preferred strategy in wet qualifying sessions. VTI, are you someone that would do 3 or 4 laps on a set of tires if it's you're not going to use these tires again? So do you think that's the way to go, or will we see people perhaps just do 1 or 2 and then do more at the end of the session?
Absolutely, it's important to go for a couple of flying laps on the intermediate just to get a feel for the grip and a feel for the conditions out there. So I would imagine, big slide as he comes out onto the back straight. Yeah, I think just finding your feet for 2 or 3 laps, you're not going to use these tyres again, as you say, and you might as well just find your feet with it. And as the track grip will improve, it looks like the conditions will probably improve towards the end of the session and the track will naturally evolve. So at least then, if you wanted to do, again, another 2 flying laps at the end, it seems like the intermediates are good for 2 flying laps in this game in general. So yeah, I think everyone's going to be doing the same thing. I think that several drivers will probably put a few laps as Gordon Torres gets the time on the board.
Yeah, Dynamite just pipping that by only half a tenth in these difficult conditions. Let's hop on board with LJB, who's coming through the hairpin, and yeah, that traction zone out of there, very difficult to put the power down. It'd be easy just to put a little bit too much in and end up in that outside wall or the inside one, potentially. Entei goes quickest with a 47.5. LJB beats that, a 47.3. So the times already starting to come down a little bit. Some of that water just picked up off the track, and perhaps a little bit of a line starting to form with the cars going round. Various other drivers putting in some times now. Who should we hop on board with? Let's hop on board with new man on the grid, Rumble, who is reserving today for Wayne in the Williams, and it's his first race in AOR. So welcome to him. We'll see what he was able to do on his first qualifying lap in AOR. It's a 47.5 that he's looking at right now 47.3 that he's looking at right now for pole position. He does come up to the line, and it's going to be provisional pole position for Rumble. So coming in and making a statement on his first run round. That's beaten by Maznat though by a big margin. That's 0.6 of a second. Maznat takes pole position by. That's a phenomenal lap from the Renault driver. Let's see who else have we got on a lap. We've got Frio on a lap coming around the long right of turn, I think that's turn 13, and that's a really difficult corner in these conditions. It's incredibly hard to put the power down, and the car just wants to step out all the way around there. It's a corner that just seems to go on forever in conditions like this. He's cautious down into this hairpin, not quite using all of the track on entry, and once again very cautious on the exit, using lean fuel. I think he's coming into the pits now. He may have just pulled out of this. We often see in wet qualifying sessions that drivers will use lean in traction zones just to help dull the revs and make it a little more comfortable for them. But it's not always the case where everybody's going rich the full way through.
Looks like Frio's abandoned his lap there. He's just come into the pits probably for a new set of tires. Maybe he made a mistake, or maybe he invalidated the lap. Maybe he feels he needs a fresh set of tires just to make that next run. So 5 minutes left in this session. It's happening so quickly, and yeah, it's all going to come down to who can time it last over the line and still have their tires intact, because it looks like a lot of drivers are going for multiple laps at this stage.
Yeah, I don't know if it's just me, but it does look as if the rain is perhaps easing slightly, a little bit more sunshine coming through the clouds, and really in this situation you've got to make sure that you're out there at the very end and getting that lap in late, crossing the line in that sort of final minute of the session, and making sure that you have the best possible conditions that you can, because if you go too early, or if you don't get that final run in, you're going to drop a lot of places. And yeah, we can see here the rain has basically stopped on the back straight with Dynamite, so it did look like it was still falling a little bit further over on the track, but it's certainly going to start to dry up here. So he's very early on the brakes into the hairpin, about 150 meters, and Dynamite, he's still in that max fuel mix, so I think he may well complete this lap. We'll see if he does. No, he goes to the pits, so he wants to get some fresh tires on for those best conditions at the very end of the session.
The next question is, Curly, is will anyone take a gamble and go for some dry tires?
As the track stands right now, I think it might be maybe a little too early. It's still quite damp out there. There's still 3 minutes left, so it's not completely out of the question. We will get the currently fitted tires up there. Everybody on the intermediate solo. He's still in this pit box. He's thinking about it. He's not out yet. He might wait. He may well wait for the final sort of moments. Realistically, you got to leave your pit box around about 2 minutes 10 to make it out. So he might just hold there in the pits until everyone else goes out in the inters, and then play the play the trick card of going on the soft compound tires. Nobody else making that move yet. I'm on board with Contrast at the moment, who is coming around the final corner. He came out about a couple minutes ago. He's on his just about to start his flying lap. Sorry, but there's a couple more drivers thinking about those slick tires. They're taking a big gamble here, has to be said, a very big gamble. But who knows? Chance at pole position if you get those conditions right. For a qualifying session like this, it's really just about getting the timing and the tire choice correct. How good your lap isn't quite as important in that regard. It's really really about strategy here in this qualifying session. And Contrast coming down. I think Contrast was actually on a flying lap there because he's moved up to second place, but he's pushing his way through the middle section using a lot of lean and standard, but he got well on that curb on the entry to turn 7, and that's compromised him quite a lot. He's now struggling to get the nose of the car in, the car sliding under him, and he's having a very tough time finding these apexes. And who knows, maybe these conditions are just starting to turn. Possibly looking at Harry Tomato, he's got to time this perfectly so that he starts his lap as late as he possibly can in this session if he wants to make those slicks work.
He's going to need a very aggressive outlap, I would have thought, and not to worry too much about sliding the tires, because in Sector 1 I'd imagine it will probably be the dampest. So if he can get to the end of Turn 4, but he might be down on the intermediate best sector times, but surely through Sector 2 and 3 he'll take advantage of that, as we see Grunting Tortoise has made the decision to go for super soft tires. So Maznat is out on another set of intermediates, but maybe this might just be, if he can get another run done before the qualifying time ends, he might just be quick enough to stay in the top 3 or 4, but expect the times to come down like a fruit machine, and those who have gone for the slicks, hopefully it works out for them, because they'll be paying a big penalty starting further down the grid if they can't make this lap work. So I'm just looking at Maznat here now. It looks like he's lining himself up for his final lap.
Yeah, Contrast there, not able to improve. He had a pretty scruffy lap, it has to be said. He'll go for another one. Here comes Maznat across the line to begin his final lap in this session. So this is his last opportunity to take pole here in China. He didn't quite hook up the qualifying in Australia as well as he would have liked, and he's got to get this lap in right, because otherwise, in these conditions, there's quite a lot of drivers behind him on the track, and he's got to make sure that he can get a very solid lap in. Jordan has retired from the session and helpfully gets out of the way there. That was useful timing for Maznat, coming down towards the apex of turn 6 and hard on the power. Back end just twitching a little bit, so difficult to get the power down in these kind of conditions. Right up against the inside curb as well through 7. Once again, you can see that rear end just starting to step out a little bit. Maznat controlling that pretty well. Very difficult.
Just looking at the Hairy Tomato there, he's got a nice clean first sector, and Grunting Tortoise spun on the exit of the final corner, so that's his lap over, surely. And we've got Nemo there, and has finished across the line with a 48.6. And can the Hairy Tomato do something about this? He's set a decent first sector, So the track will be improving as the lap goes on. He's kept it nice and tidy, and he's going through sector 2 now. He'll be cutting the beam soon, leaving the engine in standard mix just to give himself the best traction. Really, he should just go all out and just attack the track and see what happens and hope for the best. He gets a little bit wide on that curb on the exit, and he's just controlling the car nicely out of that corner. Can he make sector 2 and 3 work for him? So he crosses it. That's a very good sector 2 time. I'm not sure if it's quicker than Maznat's. I think it might be a tenth or two in it. But as he comes into the final sector, getting this exit right onto the back straight is really, really important. He's kept it all together. He's going on full power now, and he's giving it everything. He's just got 2 corners left, and surely the track is dry enough for a nice deep braking and a nice good traction zone out of the final couple of corners. So let's see how he gets on. DRS enabled, of course.
Yeah, big gamble on these soft compound tires, but he might find himself right up towards the front of the grid. Another difficult traction zone. He's got to improve a huge amount on his time if he wants to overhaul Maznat here. Slightly missing the apex of that final corner on the run to the line, and it is pole position for Harriet Tomato. What a phenomenal run from him. LJB just crossing the line. He goes 3rd place as well. But it's Harriet Tomato, Maznat, and then you've got to say a pretty big gap back to LJB. He wasn't quite able to hook that final lap up in the same way that Maznat was. But I've got to say a surprise pole position here for Harriet Tomato. He nailed that tire choice absolutely perfectly. It was very close for him, but he did get the job done in the end. I'll give you a quick run through the qualifying order as someone has pressed X straight away. So Harriet Tomato on those soft compound tires, it was a big gamble, but it's paid off. He's on pole position. Maznat in 2nd, LJB in 3rd, and Contrast 4th. Rumble on his first race in AOR. He's at 5th place on the grid. Then Dynamite, Entei, Grunting Tortoise, Nemo, and Infant March make up the rest of the top 10. Then we had Wayne, Krama, Rizek, Jordan making up the rest of the positions with qualifying laps. Dubsy, Frio, and Banana Josh not setting lap times. I don't know. I think Frio was. I'm not quite sure why he didn't set a time, but you know, for those guys that are now starting free choice of tires, overcast conditions, you know, they've really got every sort of choice available to them. Harriet Tomato on pole with the soft. I assume at least someone behind him will go for the super soft, so he's probably going to have to defend in this first stint.
Yeah, it really looks like he's got some very fast drivers behind him, and Maznat looks like he's on great form here in the circuit, so I think Maznat will be a little disappointed he didn't quite get the pole position, but if you can get a good start ahead of Harriet Tomato, then it should be straightforward for him. So it looks kind of overcast here at the moment, and if I'm not mistaken, I saw a drop or two of rain. Is it still spitting with rain, or maybe I'm just seeing things?
I don't think so. It's just it's very, very cloudy, but I don't quite think it's raining at the moment. It is meant to be dry conditions throughout the race. So we ready ourselves for round 2 of AOR Oceania on pole after a great gamble in qualifying on the soft compound tires. Maznat starting on the dirty side of the grid, but he is on the super softs. He's had a fantastic start coming up the inside of Tomato into turn 1, and he's already up and ahead of the Mercedes driver. Maznat taking the lead here in China. Harriet Tomato struggling for grip around the outside there, and here comes LJB in the Red Bull right around the outside of turn 2 and 3, and he is up and still side by side. Actually, Tomato fighting this very hard. I have no idea how he's managed to hold that all the way around the outside, but he's kept himself in play.
At the back, Mercedes has gone off, I think, there. I think that looks like it's Nemo. Serious incident there for him. And Dubsy already up to P9, and he's on the offensive.
Dubsy with an absolutely storming start at the moment. We've got Contrast trying to take Tomato around the outside of turn 6. What a beautiful move that was from the Renault driver. He's up into 3rd, and Dynamite showing his nose to the Mercedes as well. And I think he is up and through on Harriet Tomato, who he is. And Harriet Tomato dropping positions majorly on this first lap. He's had an absolute shocker of a start, and he's down to 7th place. It was a sort of fairy tale qualifying for him, but the start of the race has gone completely wrong. He's down to 7th. He's got Krema and Dubsy right on the back of him, as Contrast perhaps looking towards the back of LJB, but he's not really making much ground there, so we will hop on with this battle coming down for well, really for 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th.
Up the inside, he has a look.
Oh, he thinks better of it. Yeah, he thought about that, just throwing it down the inside, and realised there's 4 cars ahead of me. I'll back out of that one. Dubsy still in 9th place there. McLaren and Red Bull getting very close through the final corner. It's a fantastic midfield battle here. Toro Rosso just weaving a little bit in the background. But, oh man, what a what a heartbreaking start for Harry Tomato. He's lost another position to Dubsy. Dubsy going up the inside of turn 1. He does get the move done, and Tomato's got to watch out for the Force India of Entei here. Might have been a little bit of wheel
Contrast all
banging.
over the back with LJB. We're just going to see Contrast maybe have a look up the inside, and he thinks better of it. He's looking to get that DRS out on him, maybe from the next lap onwards, but Maznat is starting to pull away, and I think I'm sure Maznat and Contrast are quite wary of Dubsy's pace, so they'd be looking to try and make outroads really quickly. But Maznat, crucially, looks like he is they're both on the super soft tyre, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, and we've got LJB on the soft, so yeah, it's looking like those soft tyres, super soft tyres, will start to fall away around lap 4 or 5, and the soft tyre will come into play. So these guys have got to make hay.
Yeah, some big movers here. Dubsy making up another position now. He's really flying through the field at the moment. Harry Tomato losing many places. Banana Josh up 5 there in 12th as well. So a good start for those guys that weren't allowed to qualify. They've done quite well with this. We've got Contrast and LJB side by side going down into the hairpin. Contrast on the inside. Should get this move done. You'd think on the super soft tires there's a bit of contact between the two of them. I don't think there's any damage there.
Dubsy looks like he's going to get 2 cars in one go here coming to the last corner. It looks like he's going on the outside of the newcomer Rumble, and looks like he's made that move stick, so he's up to P5 already.
Yeah, phenomenal start for Dubsy, 10 positions, and he's on those soft compound tires, so it's not like he even went for the fastest starting option that was available to him. Rumble trying to get him back into turn 1 here, thinking about showing his nose up the inside, but doesn't go for it. I've got quite a lot of lag off the McLaren of Tortoise as well. He's warping around quite a lot, and
looks like he's off the track there for the lag, I think.
Crema almost losing the car, and he's got to defend from Entei, who's later on the brakes around the outside of turn 6, not able to get it done. Crema holds that off very well. I think he almost lost control of his car trying to avoid lagging McLaren, but yeah, Contrast now up past LJB, and he's getting away from him. He's almost out of that DRS range, which will be available on this lap. There's contact between the Mercedes and the Force India. They're battling hard here, and Entei loses the position to Harry Tomato. Opportunistic move. Did a good job. Harry Tomato now starting to move his way back up after what was a really shocking opening lap. But Entei going up the inside on his super soft tyres. Later on the brakes. Then he holds it around the outside. That's beautiful stuff there, and he is now back up into 9th place. Some good battling going on. Crema onto the back of Rumble as well, who's perhaps not quite at home as home at the dry conditions as he was in the wet. He had a phenomenal qualifying 5th place in his first ever race, but he's well under attack here from Crema. Red Bull, very, very good traction. He's going to go side by side into the final corner. That's a bold move. Will they make it through? Good driving, bit of wheel banging, but that's okay, as Crema now trying to get it done around the outside into turn 1, I think, and yes, he does get the place.
Very good driving there from Crema. He set up Rumble quite well. As you see, Grunting Tortas going off the track again, but I'm not sure if that's down to lag. It looks like he went completely off the track this time, and looks like he's going to be trying to rejoin cautiously. The very back there, Banana Joss made a pit stop early on, I believe, maybe to change front wing, so he's on a new set of super soft tyres. Jordan is down in 15th on the mediums. He's the only driver on the medium tyres. Looks like he's going to go very long into the race. Hopefully he looks to capitalise. And I'm looking with a battle with Rumble. It looks like Crema, Rumble and Entei are all fighting over P7, 8 and 9 here. And it's a 2 side by side going into turn 7 and 8 here. And it's luckily Entei had thought better of that and backed out of it. But look, it looks like Crema has lost position as Rumble goes right around the outside of Crema. So this is a fantastic scrap here. There's 5 cars all fighting here for P7, and it's all the while the guys up the front are just starting to pull away.
Yeah, Dubsy up past Dynamite as well. He's already up to P4. Remember, he started from the back of the grid. That's a phenomenal run from him, but what a great midfield tussle we've got here. Crema once again trying to get into that toe from Rumble. Rumble making his sort of defensive move and then returns to the racing line. So those are the only moves he's allowed to make. He can't make another one. Crema knows that. Crema shows the nose. That's late.
Contact.
Oh, that's definitely, I think, on Crema. You'll probably have to wait for that. He was too late on the brakes there, went for a dive bomb and just, well, that was pretty much a carbon copy of the Vettel Verstappen incident at the Chinese Grand Prix week back. But Crema, he's not interested in waiting at all. He's going to keep battling along with Entei down into turn 1. Entei on the inside. He does have, you know, the faster tires, and he is up ahead. Is Crema going to try and show the nose? No, but I'm certain that we'll hear something about that in the stewards after the race, because I've got to say that definitely looked like it was Crema's fault.
Yeah, it was definitely almost a carbon copy of what just happened the last time. I think Kramer got a little bit caught out by how deep he was going on the brakes, so unfortunate for him. I'm just looking here at Grunting Tortoise. I know he's lagging kind of all over the place on the screens, but according to the screens here, he's right up behind Dynamite, and he's looking for a way past, so again, it's not easy to follow.
Wayne and Nemo side by side in the middle sector, and does look as if Wayne is going to get this move done. He does, up into 10th place, and sorry for qualifying. I got my Williams drivers mixed up. It's Azatak that's away this week, not Wayne. He's up there into the points positions now. So yeah, it'll be catching onto the back of this little group in front if he can stop battling all the way, because his teammate is going up the inside on both of them through the long right-hander, and they will be side by side. No, not quite. Rumble has gotten ahead. Wayne trying to get a move back on his teammate, but it doesn't have. Yeah, he doesn't have the DRS. These three are going to be side by side going into the hairpin. Are they? Not quite. Some phenomenal straight line speed on the Williams of Rumble, and Wayne and Nemo not quite able to match that. They're still side by side coming down towards the final corner, but Wayne has the inside line, and he does get the place in the end. But Nemo, I don't think he's done with that yet. Will he have a look around turn 1? No, he's not quite close enough, although Wayne has run wide. He's missed his braking point, and Wayne runs off the track onto the grass, and you gotta be careful he doesn't spin it around there, because you know, those tires are not going to have too much grip after that, so he loses the place to the Mercedes driver. These guys losing a little bit of ground to that group in front of them now, with battling so hard on that last lap.
Yeah, that was absolutely crazy there. It was fantastic racing. It looks like the field's going to settle down a little bit, and a little bit of spreading going on. Looks like Grunting Tortoise has just got ahead of Dynamite there. I was watching him. He done a move around the outside of the final corner, so he's got ahead, and he's now after Dubsy. So he's 1.5 behind, and Dubsy is just closing the gap now to LGB. And I'm telling you what, Maznat in contrast haven't opened up a huge lead over LGB and Dubsy, so they're going to start losing time pretty soon as those super soft tires degrade compared to the softs.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the super softs, they're very quick at the start of this stint, but I don't know, I think they might still be slightly the better tire right now, but as we get on to lap sort of 7 or 8, they're going to start to fall away. Obviously, you know, wet qualifying sessions, so they'll have brand new tires on. They might just last slightly longer than what we're used to, but yeah, I mean, Entei, he's on the super soft tires as well. He's maybe not made up, you know, all of the ground that he would have liked to. Yeah, he's lost one position off the start, and he's kind of stuck here in this this difficult midfield fight. A set of mediums and try and pull off some kind of undercut.
Yeah, even with the medium tyre, the undercut on compared to a worn super soft is still quite strong usually, and the crossover point between the soft and the medium tyre looks like sort of lap 12, 13 before the medium is just inherently faster. So I'd imagine with the super soft around lap 8 or 9, you can almost put the medium on and go to the end of the race, it looks like.
Wayne with the pit stop onto a set of super soft, so I think that's going to be a 2-stop strategy. I'm not sure if he had a front wing change or not, but he's back out there on the super softs, and well, he's going to be very, very quick for the rest of this race, but he's got a lot of ground to make up. 5 seconds of Banana Josh, who's 10 seconds behind the next car, and they're quite a long way off of the points at the moment, so he's really going to have to get his foot down if he has any hope of points at the moment in this race. Tomato on the back of Entei now, and yeah, I think we're at this point where the softs are just starting to come back towards those super soft runners. Entei not quite able to get rid of Tomato here, and in fact Tomato's had a much better run through the long right onto the straight. He is carrying more pace, but he's just perhaps slightly too far behind. It will be close going down towards the braking zone. Tomato's gonna have a look at it. Entei doesn't bother to defend this, and Tomato going up the inside. Oh, he runs Entei wide a little bit. I'm not too sure about that one, but Tomato does have the place. And Entei, he's missing part of his front wing now. He's he's really struggling there on the left-hand side. You can see the little winglet missing. So Tomato up into 8th place. Entei perhaps pushed off a little bit there.
Very difficult under braking there, Curly. It was just as everyone's braking at the last second, and all of a sudden the front tires lock, and then you're just trying to stop the car, and you're just hoping the other guy won't turn in on you. So it's unfortunate there. He got shoved a little bit wide, and of course the front wing damage. Hopefully he'll be making a pit stop relatively soon, so he might be able to recover some of that. Question is the damage enough to warrant the other 2 or 3 seconds? It probably is, given the way tyre wear is around the circuit. Looking at the front there now, we can just see Maznat slightly edging away from contrast a little bit, and LJB and Dubsy are starting to reel in contrast, so it's looking like that the soft tyre is now at this stage looking a bit faster than the super soft. The question now is what lap do you pit? And the other very important thing that could decide this race, particularly for the super soft runners, because it looks like the field is so closely bunched up. Like if Maznat would pit stop around here, so it looks like if the super soft drivers were to pit now, they're going to come out mired in a field of soft runners who are not going to pit. So it looks like LJB and Dubsy might not even lose too much with undercut in this case.
Yeah, if I'm Maznat right now, I'm sticking it out. He's 21.7 seconds ahead of Crema in P7. If he can find a couple more seconds on the track before he pits, he might just be able to get out in front of him, and then there's a bit of clean air up to Dynamite. That might be what he needs. But for guys like Contrast, I don't know, they're coming out in a big train, and we're not quite sure how much further they can go. Entei does make the decision to pit. I'm assuming this is going to be for a set of the medium compound tyres on the end of lap 8 for him, and yeah, he's going to be, I think, going to the end from that. Is it the mediums? Yes, it is, and it's a new front wing as well for Entei, so you're spot on there. He does go for the new front wing, and he'll lose quite a lot of time doing this, but perhaps able to make some of it up on that undercut.
Yeah, definitely. And when you've got fresh tyres and a car that's not understeering underneath you, particularly as you get late into that stint into lap 25, the tyre wear for the mediums is incredibly low around the circuit, so they can definitely go all the way to lap 28. Really shouldn't be a problem for him. And again, if he had, luckily because of the way nature of turn 1, if the outside of his front wing was damaged, going through the long right, sweeping right-hander of turn 1, and of course the fast section in sector 2, it would be an absolute nightmare for him to try and hang on when the tyres are starting to give way and later in the race. So this might be the call for him to get him up into, if he can undercut Crema, that gap, Crema was slightly a bit further up the road, I think, from him when he pitted, so I think Crema is safe for now. But I think, again, the soft tyre at this stage is still probably quicker than a brand new medium. I think the medium takes a couple of laps to get going. Might be quicker than a worn super soft at this stage. So let's see what happens now come lap 12, 13. We'll see which is the first of the soft runners will fit the medium to go to the end of the race. It's unlikely they're going to go for the super soft and do a 2-stop, because it really wouldn't be worth it here, unless, well, of course, safety car is disabled in this game, so it's not really an issue. As we're looking there, Banana Josh looks like he's made his way past Entei there. We just caught that off screen, and looks like he's going right around the outside of him, going onto the back straight. But Entei has got the DRS, I believe. And
I've got Banana Josh jumping around on my screen, and actually there's been an incident here, and Entei is off in the wall, and that is 100% lag related. So Entei with some really horrible luck here. He was trying to get his race back on track, and unfortunately he has been well, he's been taken out there by a lagging car, and that's not what we want to see, because he was trying to get that recovery done. He had some good moves earlier on. He's going to have to pit again with this damage. Surely he does. So yeah, this race, it was, it's going from sort of bad to worse. That first front wing damage, and now again, really tough times for Entei here. He's stuck in P15, and yeah, looking further back up the field, Tomato is now on the back of Crema, so I think he's kind of rallied a little bit from oh, hold on a moment, we've got Tortoise on the back of Dubsy. Dubsy having lost some time to LJB, so I think that he's had a mistake somewhere.
Here we go. And he's going around the outside of the hairpin.
Dubsy able to hold on there. He's just slightly later on the brakes, and if you're kind of side by side, the first part of that corner, the man on the inside there is always going to have the advantage. But here we go, first pit stop. Maznat comes in, probably going to be a set of mediums. No, he's gone for a set of softs. So he thinks he can make it the 18 laps at the end of the race on those soft compound tyres. Contrast still out there on those supers. He has to wait, obviously.
Tortoise barges his way through. Sorry to interrupt you, Curly, but Tortoise looks like he's barged his way past Dubsy into turn 1, and he is up to P3, and looks like his pace is phenomenal on these soft tyres. Like, Dubsy was the man we expected going forward, but I'm not sure if there was a little bit of lag. It looks like his car is lagging a bit, but it looked like he barged up the inside of Dubsy there at turn 1, and Dubsy really had no answer. I wonder if Dubsy has actually caught any damage on his car. I'm trying to figure out why Tortoise looks like he's much faster at this stage.
Yeah, I think it was a little mistake. He did lose some time to LGB here. There's been a mistake from Contrast as well, as he's just lost a couple of seconds from LGB. LGB right on the back of the Renault driver, and he's on the better tyres. Now, those soft tyres will be in much better condition than Contrast Supersofts. He had to wait another lap to pit because Maznat came in the last lap. And here goes LGB for the lead of the race around the inside of turn 13, and he does get the move done. And, well, what a beautiful move that was from LGB. Better grip on those. It's got to come into the pits this lap, surely, otherwise he's going to start falling back into the clutches of Tortoise and Dubsy. I imagine he'll follow his teammate and go for a set of the soft compound tyres. And Maznat there, he's in P5, he did get out ahead of Crema, and you know, he's just he's got a lot of clean air in front of him, but we've got Nemo and Rumble. I think this is round about 5 between these guys going side by side along the back straight. Nemo with the DRS, he is able to get ahead. Rumble, is he going to get past? No, he goes to the cut back. Beautiful move from Rumble, and he's able to get his nose ahead and up in front of Nemo. What a fantastic piece of defensive work there from the Williams driver on his debut here in AOR. Nemo just missing that apex a little bit there. I'm not quite sure he could see it behind the Williams, but yeah, what a great move from Rumble. LGB coming out of the pits right into the middle of these two, though, and that's an earlier pit stop than we were expecting from LGB. There's contact between Nemo and Rumble. They're really banging wheels all the way through turn 1. LGB does get the move on Rumble. Just a way better grip on those new tires, and yeah, LGB has gone from softs to mediums. Ooh, some contact there, I think, between Rumble and Nemo, possibly, but yeah, Rumble holds on to that place, but LJB, he has gone for the medium compound tires. Contrast has gone for the mediums as well. I'll tell you what, Contrast broke his wing on that lap, and that's where he lost so much time to LJB, because he's now come out of the pits 6-7 seconds behind him, so he must have had a front wing change. He's so far off of his teammate as well, when it was only a couple seconds a few laps ago. So Contrast has had some kind of problems. He's gone to the medium compound tires fairly late on, you would say, for a medium tire pit stop.
Yeah, it is quite late, but it looks like they both came into the pits pretty much simultaneously. LGB overlapped Contrast, and he came out way ahead of Contrast there, so yeah, Contrast's got a lot of work to do now to come all the way back, as we see our leaders pit, Grunting Tortoise and Dubsy pitting at the same time. Let's see if the McLaren and Ferrari mechanics can go head to head, and hopefully no artificial broken legs here in this pit stop. And it looks like it's going to be Dubsy. Mike is going to swap to the medium tyre, as is Tortoise, and Dubsy comes out. Does he get ahead of the McLaren? The McLaren just about getting ahead, and looks like we've got our Maznat. Is Maznat on another set of the soft tyres? Is that correct?
Maznat started on the supers, so he's going to the end. He did 10 laps on those super soft tyres. He's going to try and do 18 on the softs, I think. I don't think that he would two-stop, so Maznat believes that he can make those tyres last to the end of the race. And Grunting Tortoise now just coming out of the pits right behind the Mercedes of Nemo, as if he wants any hope of getting after these guys ahead, mostly LGB, I think Maznat's quite a long way down the road, but he's going to get this move done pretty quickly, as Nemo's on some very worn tyres at this point. 13 laps on those soft tyres is no joke, and there's been contact between Dubsy and Tortoise, and I think that there's maybe once again a little bit of lag there, because you know, Dubsy, well, that McLaren came right back into him for a moment, and Dubsy's got significant front wing damage. He's really struggling, and Tortoise now looking up the inside of the Mercedes, going to try and hold it around the outside, and they're off together in the gravel, and they're out of the race. Nemo is out of the race. They got caught on each other and weren't able to get the cars turned in, and Tortoise has no, well, he's lost half of his front wing. Nemo is out of this race, and it's all gone wrong here for this little trio. Dubsy's probably going to have to pit again, and well, this opens up a real opportunity for a podium here for Contrast. He was looking at a difficult situation a moment ago, but those two just got stuck on each other, I think, and basically just took each other into the gravel and into the wall. And I don't know if that was some kind of side pod glitch or some lag or something like that, but I don't think I've ever seen two cars get jammed together like that. Dubsy, despite having the front wing damage, he's decided that he wants to carry on. He doesn't want another pit stop, and I think he's going to try and hang this out towards the end despite the damage.
Looks like it, and if the other option he could do is go as far as lap, if he could go as far as lap 18 and even pop a pair of super softs on, but I don't see the point in him doing that because the field is pretty closely bunched up behind him. He would need a good 20 seconds. It would probably bring him out around 7 or 8 if he was to pit now, but there probably wouldn't be much point in doing it. Track position at this stage is probably the priority, and all he can do now is hope this is absolute dream for Maznat, who is extending his lead nicely up front ahead of LJB, even on them soft tyres. And it looks like it'll be interesting to see if LJB can bring anything back at the end of the race in terms of those soft tyres. We know that the soft tyre can go a good sort of 14-15 laps, so it might be tight for Maznat at the end of the race, but it looks like his pace seems to be a good bit quicker than LJB's at this moment.
Yeah, those soft tires very, very quick at the start of the stint, and you know, really, if you're wanting to make it 18 laps on a set of soft tires, I think you've got to be, you've got to be quite kind to them. You can't push those tires too much. Jordan, he's just moving out of the way of this pairing of Tomato and Crema. Good to see there, but Tomato on the mediums, Crema on the mediums as well. These guys are going all the way to the end of the race. It was interesting to see that nobody started on the medium compound tires, I don't think. Everybody either starting on the softs or the supers. So these guys are they're pretty much all on the medium compound tires now, apart from Frio and Maznat. Tomato is just sitting in that DRS point at the moment of Crema, but he's not quite able to get close enough to make any kind of move at the moment.
Yeah, I'm just looking at Frio now at the moment. He has not stopped yet. He is still on them soft tyres. He's the only guy who is yet to make a pit stop. He's going to try maybe even go as far as lap 17-18 and go with super softs to the end. Looking at the gap behind him, it looks like he would probably come out sort of 10th or 11th. So he's got a little bit of work to do if he wants to try and get some decent points at the end of the race, but he should be on the faster tyres. We see Wainio is still on the super soft tyre, so it looks like he's going to make another stop again. Grunting Tortoise has come back out again on fresh softs. He's a long way behind Wainio though, so he'll be hoping to maybe close the gap to maybe get far as maybe get a point or two if he's lucky. Banana Josh has been the silent guy of the race so far. We had a wing change there on lap 1 and he put on a set of mediums and he's been going ever since. So you never know, like as you saw with Entei and the unfortunate collision with Grunting Tortoise and those guys, it looks like if you can just keep your head together that there might be some points in for people who wouldn't be normally in the top 10. So
yeah, might be some more points on the board for Contrast here. He's right up on the back of Dubsy now, coming along the back straight, and it doesn't look like there's very much slipstream anymore as Contrast now trying to make the move on Dubsy, and he's going around the outside. Giving me some horrible camera angles around there, but there we go. Contrast all holds it around the outside. Dubsy with that wing damage just not able to get that nose turn into the corner, and Contrast up into third place. It's a Renault 1-3 at the moment. Dubsy is going to keep sort of falling back, I think, with that damage. He's got quite a long way back to Frio, who still needs to pit again, so it's about 15 seconds back to Crema. I think the Dubsy will try and hold on for that P4.
It looks like it. I don't think there's any benefit for him pitting now, really. I think even with the broken wing, his inherent pace advantage should still be enough to keep him sort of P4 or 5. But you never know, he might take a throw of the dice and put on some super softs towards the end, but I really don't think it would be worth it. He'd probably still end up P4 at best, I'd imagine. So he's going to just try and hope and see if the leaders make any more mistakes. And at this stage, it looks like the wise old heads of Contrast, Maznat and LJB, looks like they're fairly well spread out. So it looks like the top 3, it looks like it's going to be pretty stalemate unless something significant happens towards the end of this race.
Yeah, Dubsy will be looking behind him on the mini-map with interest as well, because we're starting to see a 3-car battle form with Rumble, Tomato and Crema here. This is for the sort of mid-points, and all these guys on the medium compound tyre. It's a sort of fair battle between all of them. Tomato and Rumble in the DRS of Crema, but not quite able to get close enough to make the move. As we've got a beautiful shot from the helicopter here, and Rumble possibly going to be close enough to make a move onto Tomato, but he's got to remember that they will both have the DRS. You can see the rear wing flaps opening there, but we saw earlier in the race the Rumble has some phenomenal straight line speed, and he is closing up to the back of Tomato, but he's not quite close enough to get the move done on this occasion. But he's so quick in a straight line that even despite both of them having DRS, I don't think there's much slipstream left anymore. We did have one or two people leave and rejoin, so Rumble now right on the back of the Mercedes. He's going to have a move up the inside into turn one. This is going to be difficult to pull off. Oh, he locks up a little bit going into the corner, and Tomato is pushed. Yeah, Tomato pushed off the track there. Rumble just pinching that front right tyre on the entry, and he's locked up and gone straight on a bit, and that's just pushed Tomato clean off the circuit. Not much I think the Mercedes could really do there.
Yeah, really, it's a tricky one. Like, if you're drawing level alongside, trying to hang around the outside of turn one is not a good way to do it. Really, the best way he probably should have done that is let him run wide and try and cut back up the inside. Might have been his only way. Hanging all the way around the outside of turn one, the way that corner tightens, there's really only there's one tight line and there's one middle line through it, and at that stage hanging around the outside never really works. So it's unfortunate, but yeah, it looks like Rumble, a newcomer, is doing a nice solid performance. He'd be pretty happy with this so far for his debut race, and he'd be I'm sure he'll be hungry for more. And particularly like a newcomer like him and any other drivers who are interested in signing up, it's this early stage in the season. It's a really good time to get involved, get a feel for the races. So Rumble now, our newcomer, obviously doing very well for himself. Crema has opened himself a nice little gap there from that battle, so he's got like a 1.5 second gap. But Crema now looks like he will be coming under attack from Rumble soon enough. Frio still has not stopped yet. He's gone all the way to lap 18 on these tyres, so it looks like he's going to come in, and indeed he does. Into the pits comes Frio for probably assuming a set of super soft tyres, and watching him come through the field on the fresh tyres. We'll see how many places he loses, but that should be good to watch towards the end of the race.
He's going to have a very, very quick set of tyres. Wayno coming in as well for a second set of super soft tyres. He had to pit early, I think, for a front wing change build off of the soft compound. He's gone for 2 super soft stints. He's had some good pace to get himself back up into the points before this pit stop, and he may well come out still in the points, because Banana Josh is quite a long way behind him in 11th place. But yeah, things spreading out at the front. Maznat is still pulling away a little bit, but it's not quite as much as it was. He was opening up the gap pretty quickly early on, but that's starting to come back towards LGP. I think in a lap or two he'll be quicker than Maznat, but it's such a big gap that unless Maznat gets a puncture, I don't think he's going to be able to reel that in.
Control here, I think. He's got a lot of fuel left. He's got 1.5 laps of fuel now, and he's just using a bit of rich mixtures on the straights just to keep him ahead. So if he does come under attack in the late stages of this race, he's got plenty of fuel. It looks like LGB is kind of managing ahead. He's got 0.45 left. Same in contrast, they're managing their mixtures now as well. So I think they're just going to have to hope that their fresher tyres will help them close in. But to me, it looks like Maznat's got it all under control.
Yeah, just a couple battles happening throughout the field. We've got Rumble and Crema over P5 and 6. Rumble just dropped out of the DRS zone, so he's got to push hard and get himself back into that as quickly as he can, and he's got to just keep his eyes on Tomato behind him, because Tomato, he had that really really poor opening lap, went from first down to 10th position, but he's made his way back up to 7th now, and he's had some good pace here today, so he'll be looking to catch up to the back of these guys as well as Tortoise makes a pit stop. And he'll be coming in for a set of the super soft tires to run to the end of the race, and on they go. So Tortoise, he's back out there. Wayne gets the place. He'll be coming out in P10 because Ben Josh is just too far behind. So we got a couple of very quick cars towards the back of this top 10. Frio, Wayne, and Tortoise that are going to be looking to push up and possibly catch the group in front. But it's a long way to go. I mean, Frio's got about 14 seconds to make up to 7th place. But he's had some good pace, and brand new super soft tires for a sort of 10 lap sprint is not out of the question.
Yeah, it should definitely be doable. I'm just looking at Dynamite here. He's also recovering. He's down in P12. I'm sure he'd be pretty disappointed so far with his race, considering his inherent pace. But he's down in 12th, and he'd be looking to try and recover that. I'm just looking to see how many stops he has done, and he has done 2 stops, so he's on a fresh set of soft tires. So he'll try and hope that Banana Josh maybe and the Crunching Tortoise and the guys ahead will try and pull that gap in. Now the question is, can Frio catch Hairy Tomato? Now I would think that the super softs for the first 2 or 3 laps should be mighty. He should be gaining at least a second a lap on them, and maybe something like 3/4 of a second a lap. But it looks like Frio might be inherently quicker. So let's see, can he catch Hairy Tomato and Rumble at the end of the race? And meanwhile, Maznat looks like he's extended that gap now to almost 15, 16 seconds. This is like a Nico Rosberg style performance of 2012. He's just let all the chaos happen behind him, and he's keeping it all well composed, and he'll be delighted to get a win. He's long overdue a win. His pace has been very, very strong all the way through last season, and he's had some unfortunate situations. He probably should have been top 2 or 3 in the championship anyway. Just some unfortunate situations with race incidents and that kind of thing. So just looking at Jordan there as well in the hassle, he's getting out of the way of the front runners. So if he wants now, he can use. He's got +2 laps of fuel. He should probably be burning it and getting his value for money out of the fuel, because he don't get any money back for it in this game. So yeah, LGB looks like he is, the gap contrast looks like the gap seems to be sort of stabilizing 5.5, 6 seconds. Contrast will be hoping to try and pull him in, so the two of them are just managing fuel at this stage. Dubsy is falling back from contrast as well, slowly, and Kramer, he looks like he's under no threat from Kramer. It looks like he's going to be in no man's land for the rest of the race, I would have thought. Rumble, again, it seems to be a bit of a back and forth going on between Kramer, Rumble and Hairy Tomato, and if this battle continues, Frio might be able to capitalise towards the end of the race.
Yeah, Frio's got to hope that there's some kind of mistake up there, and they can get it within that DRS, and then they can start battling. Because for Frio, he's catching fairly significantly on them, but he really needs more if he wants to reel these guys in the final sort of 7-8 laps of the race here. As these super soft tires still got plenty of grip in them, plenty to push with, but it's a long way to go for him. On the Dubsy and Crema point you brought up, I mean, Crema is slowly gaining on Dubsy, but it's not going to be enough to catch him before the end of the race. Despite his wing damage, Dubsy able to hold on to that P4, it looks like, and you've really got to wonder if he didn't have that damage today, how far up the field could he have gotten? He was on an absolute stormer at the start of the race, really.
He was, and Grunting Tortoise as well must be absolutely devastated, because he passed and overtook Dubsy. Now Dubsy may have had the front wing damage when that happened, but Tortoise looks like his pace is fantastic until he had that collision with Banana Josh in the middle of the race, and that really ruined his race. So, sorry, that was our Nemo actually. So he must be absolutely really annoyed with himself and annoyed with that. I mean, it'll be interesting to see what happens in the stewards with that, because side by side coming onto that corner onto the back straight, it's not really an overtaking place, and you kind of have to hope that the connection to your rival is reliable, because if your car's jumping around, you really can't rely on if the car is at least if the connection is stable, then it's not really such a big issue. Meanwhile, we see Rumble, he has got 1.8 on Kramer, and Hairy Tomato slowly sort of just maintaining that gap. Frio is now 10 seconds within him, and I'm just going to have a look at his sector times here. I would imagine that the Super Softs will give 3 or 4 laps of performance, and they're probably, even the worn Super Softs should still be significantly quicker than the medium, I would have thought, Pro.
Yeah, I think so. I think these guys that have put them on sort of lap 10. Sorry, not lap 10, lap 18 to run the 10 laps at the end is what I'm trying to say. Is those tires will keep their grip throughout that entire final stint. You also got to think towards the end of the race, the cars are lighter, there's less fuel in, and those tires will last just a little bit longer than they would at the start of the race as well. But it's still a very long way to go. Frio's taken about 4 or 5 seconds out of Tomato so far in this stint, but he really needs to be a second and a half a lap quicker for the rest of it if he wants to reel in the rest of that gap. So if he's got some fuel, let's see if he does. He's got a little bit, but not a huge amount. He's got more than Tomato, though, so he needs to start burning that, see if he can make any of this gap up. But such a long way to go that I don't quite know that it's going to happen. Just a note as well, in terms of our championship, obviously, after Australia, Dubsy was our championship leader, the reigning champion. But as things stand right now, Maznat would take that lead if he carries on to win this race today. We're not entirely sure if he'll make it to the end of the race. I mean, 18 laps on a set of softs is that's no joke. So Maznat's really got to look after these tires and make sure that he's not taking too much out of them if he wants to get them to the end. Now, we did see who was it that ran 18 laps on the soft tires earlier on? Was that Wayne?
It looks like it was Wayne who was on those tires, so he's gone a long way on those super softs. I wonder if Maznat will make the gamble and actually make a pit for super soft, because his pace advantage would be huge over LGB, but he'd have to overtake Contrast on track. He doesn't quite have the window to Contrast to make a pit stop yet. It would be pretty tight, and it looks like Contrast is starting to nibble away at LGB's gap right now. So yeah, it's going to be tricky. I would have thought these tires are going right to the limit all the way to lap 28. And I think if the tires are approaching 70% wear, I think Maznat might be a little bit wary of that. He might get a little bit nervous and might just say, right, rather than risking a puncture, come in and pit, because tire wear is pretty severe on this circuit, and he doesn't really want to throw away a win. But he's got a good 80. He's extending that gap to 18 seconds. I doubt he's going to pit at this stage, but it's a tough one for Maznat to decide. If he knows what his tire wear is like right now, so I'm sure he's driving quite gingerly. He's got such a great pace advantage over everyone else. Last lap there was a 36.4, so he's doing pretty well. And yeah, it looks like Maznat has got it all wrapped up, but it's a tough one. I don't know if I would come in and mitigate that risk by putting the super soft on, because his pace advantage would be so huge over LGB. In contrast, that surely he'd overtake them again.
Yeah, that'd be a gamble. I think the only way that Maznat would go for that would be if he knew he wasn't going to make it to the end, if those tires were going to be up around 80-85%. That's the sort of window you're at where you're probably taking too much of a risk. But I think if he wanted to make that call to go to the super softs, it either had to be last lap or it has to be this one. If he goes any later than that, then he'll have just too much to do and not enough laps to do it in. Him and LJB are I think reasonably sort of similar pace now. They're holding around about 18 seconds, high 17, sort of that kind of window. Contrast once again about 4 seconds away from LGB. These guys fairly evenly matched as well. Contrast may be gaining slightly, but not enough to catch him before the end of the race, I don't think. And then it's back to Dubsy in that broken wing in fourth place. And I have to say there have been quite a lot of broken wings in this race. Dubsy having to use third through the right-hander of 8 there just to get the nose in.
For P9 here, Carl. We see Wainio and Grunting Tortoise fighting over position, and we saw Wainio going quite defensive into turn 1, and it looks like Grunting Tortoise is all over the back from him, and he'll be looking to try and get up into P9 as quick as he can. It's unlikely he's going to catch Frio way up the road, but Frio's only got that gap down to 7.5 seconds to Harry Tomato. So yeah, Grunting Tortoise looks like he's all over the back of them. Just looking at their fuel, it looks like Grunting Tortoise has still got a nice bit of fuel left, whilst Wainio is a little bit more marginal. So here we go, and it's hard to see with the lag that's happening, but it looks like that Grunting Tortoise is going around the outside of Wainio, and Wainio is leaving him space. And does he get the move done? And he just about gives him the space, and it looks like Grunting Tortoise has it, but now Wainio will have the DRS going onto the back straight, and it looks like the Wainio dives right up the inside of Grunting Tortoise. At least that's the image I'm seeing on the screen here. As they go onto the back straight, it looks like I thought that move was a done deal for Tortoise, but maybe there was some lag involved.
Yeah, he's moving around quite a lot this race. I'm sure there'll be something said about that afterwards. Obviously with that incident between him and Nemo as well. But Tortoise going up the inside into the hairpin, and this is so difficult for Wayne because he just doesn't know where that McLaren really is. He's moving around so much that you just can't have the confidence to place your car because you don't know where the other person is. It does look as if Tortoise is up and into 9th place now, and to be honest, if I were Wayne, I might be a little wary of getting myself involved too much there. Dynamite also made his way up past Banana Josh, coming through turn 1 and 2 on the last lap, and Banana Josh just holding on to the back of him at the moment, but I think Dynamite's going to start to pull away on those soft tires now.
Yeah, so Dynamite just got a penalty there for corner cutting. So corner cutting not really a huge thing around this circuit, but coming out of the outside of the final corner there looks like it's a pretty good place for people to run wide and people to pick up penalties as the tyres start to wear. So a little bit unfortunate there for Dynamite, but yeah, he'll be looking to try and catch onto the back. Well, he's what, 22 seconds down from Wainio, so yeah, he's got a lot of work to do from there. Just looking again towards the front, Frio again still closing in that gap, but I think 6.5 seconds. He's got to basically close in at 2 seconds a lap to get anywhere near Harry Tomato. So it looks like Harry Tomato, it's a safe P6, P7 for him. I'm trying to wonder, who would you pick? Who would you say is your driver of the day so far?
Driver of the day, that's a tough one. I think I may need to go for Dubsy just off of that opening lap charge through the field from the back of the grid. That was brilliant to watch, and unfortunately with that broken wing now, he's not able to to really challenge for that podium position. He would have been right up there from probably third or maybe even battling for second with LGB in contrast there, but unfortunately the wing damage has cost him that opportunity. But yeah, I think if there's any one person that stood out for having a phenomenal race today, it's probably Dubsy. What about yourself?
I would kind of go for sort of Kramer.
Oh, Banana Josh, sorry, going up the inside on Dynamite, and they've made contact there. Banana Josh with a very late lunge, and he's gotten the position, but I don't know, Dynamite was pretty much got punted there, and he's going to try and come back towards the Toro Rosso driver. They've got to be careful as well, because Ente's not too far behind on his super soft tyres, as Dynamite's going to go up the inside on Banana Josh, who's run very, very wide through turn 1. He's almost on the grass there, and Dynamite able to get the inside line for turn 2. There's a little bit of contact. I think Banana Josh he hasn't lost his front wing, and he's made a bit of a mistake. No, he's got to let Maznat through. That's what he's doing. So yeah, Banana Josh just losing that position there, and then he has to let the leader through to sort of compound his issues, and now he's out of the DRS range from Dynamite. So very unfortunate timing for the Toro Rosso driver.
Yeah, very unfortunate there. It looked like there was a bit of contact into the hairpin, and again, there's been a lot of comments about this man's connection, but it definitely seems better than it was in the opening round in Melbourne. So he'd be hoping to. Looks like, if anything, Grunting Tortoise's connection didn't look too stable in this race. So yeah, Banana Josh will be a little bit disappointed there, but it looks like that Dynamite was just going a bit quicker than him. So Dynamite now will probably be quite frustrated having to let Maznat through, but at least now he can turn the engine up to full power if he wants to, or if he wants to finish his race a bit quicker and not have to do another lap of misery, as you might call it. So he's going to get out of Maznat's way soon enough, and it looks like Maznat's gone to a solid win here.
Yeah, well, Banana Josh is now going to be careful after letting Maznat through. He's fallen back into the clutches of Ente on the super soft tyres, and Ente almost thought about going up the inside there, I think, but too far back. But he's now right on the back of Banana Josh. He's too compound softer on his tyres. Should have the better grip. These tyres are perhaps coming a little more towards the end of their life now, but Ente looking on the back of Banana Josh towards turn 1, and Banana Josh has run straight off the road there, and he's completely missed his oh no, that was lag actually, and he's now in the middle of Ente's car, thankfully ghosting, as Maznat's had I think a bit of a problem getting past Dynamite. Dynamite having some kind of issue there, and here goes Ente around the outside on Dynamite. They're going to be side by side, a lot of wheel banging. Oh, they're pretty much locked wheels together there through turn 6, and Dynamite defending very, very hard on Ente, and he's up into 11th place again. So yeah, it looked like he was going to lose it for a moment there. Ente just getting his nose ahead before the braking zone, but I've got to say, these guys are really getting their elbows out.
Absolutely, and we're going to see more elbows out for P2 and 3, because Contrast is right on the back of LJB, and it looks like LJB is struggling a little bit with the tyres, and the traffic is not that far ahead of them. So it looks like that they're going to catch this round of traffic, maybe if they encounter more problems. So within a lap to go, the fight for P2 and 3 is not over yet. It looks like nobody's got extra penalties or anything, so it's tightening up. And we see also Frio has got within 1 second of Harry Tomato as they're on the final lap here. As we look at Maznat coming around the final corner, and we see a battle there between Force India between Dynamite and Ente, going from 3, 11 and 12 into the hairpin they go, and it looks like Dynamite's held on to that place. Meanwhile, our race winner today looks like it's going to be Maznat. An absolute fantastic drive finishing a good 19 seconds up the road. A brilliant win for him. He'll be absolutely delighted to win that race. We're looking here at LGB and Contrast fighting over for P2. Contrast chasing him all the way to the line. Looks like LJB is just going to hold on to it. They're both pretty tight on fuel, but it looks like P2 and 3 is going to be sorted. He rounds the final corner. LGB comes home to finish second, and we've got Contrast there in P3 as well.
Yeah, great driving from those guys. We saw the Valente and Dynamite battling all the way to the very end there, just in the background of Maznat crossing the line for what's been a really phenomenal race from him. He was the quickest out of the intermediate tire runners, and then got himself out in the lead on lap 1 and never looked back. So yeah, great drive from him. Dubsy crossing the line in 4th. Damage, and then starting from the back as well. I think he'll be very happy with 12 points here today. Krama 5th, Rumble on his debut. He's in 6th. That's a great result. Tomato crosses the line in 7th, and Frio is in 8th. He's actually caught up to the back of Tomato by the end of the race. So good job from him. Tortoise is going to come home in 9th. He had, I think, pace that was better for that, but perhaps not the connection. As Wayne is going to come home and pick up the final points position here in China. He grabs P10 for Williams.
Yeah, very interesting race there, and obviously the wet qualifying allowed Terry to manage to get pole position, but great start from Maznat. He never looked back once he got that lead and kept it all together, and I think Contrast would have been looking to do a little bit better. So yeah, he won the race by a good 19 seconds in the end, made those soft tyres go all the way to the end, so he'd be absolutely thrilled with himself.
Yeah, we've had 2 races this season. Dubsy dominating one, Maznat dominating the other. It's going to be interesting once we get to Baku next week. See if these guys can settle that difference. But yeah, once again, great race from Maznat, and good results for LGB and Contrast as well. Really solid drives from them. Contrast, he probably thought that he was sweet out of luck at one point. He lost such a huge amount of time, through breaking his wing and then having to get it fixed and having to do an extra lap on those super soft tires as well. So for him to end up P3, he's going to be feeling reasonably fortunate.
Yeah, absolutely. And Dubsy, of course, got those crucial points for the championship. I'm pretty sure he would have been happy to get into the top 4 or 5 today. Maybe he was a little bit disappointed. Like, he made such a fantastic launch on lap 1, and it'd be interesting to watch that back again to see him make his way up through the fields. And I'm sure he would have been hoping maybe for a podium place, but damage limitation for him, and he's got himself ahead. So we've also a good drive as well from Frio, who's starting from the back, got himself some solid points. Kramer will be absolutely thrilled with P5. I believe that's his best result so far, and really mixing it with the newcomer Rumble and Harry Tomato, who'd be disappointed not to capitalise on that pole position. But I'm sure he would have learned, and I'm sure we'll see some comments in the stewards afterwards between that incident between Nemo and Grunting Tortoise.
Yeah, so our final results here. Maznat takes the win. LGB in 2nd place, Contrast in 3rd. Then we have Dubsy in P4 from the back of the grid. Cremo with, like you said, that's a great drive from him. 12th on the grid to 5th. Showed some great pace here today, and really the strongest race we've seen from him so far. Rumble in 6th place, then Tomato in 7th, Frio in 8th, Tortoise 9th, and Wayne 10th. Those guys who weren't quite able to make it into the points. Some tricky races back there. A few front wings lost. We had Ente, Dynamite, Banana Josh, and Rizek. And we had a couple guys leave the session as well. Nemo obviously was one of those with that incident he had with Tortoise. I'm sure that we'll hear something about that in the stewards later on this week. But yeah, I mean that was a really interesting race, and some great battling there. All the way throughout the field. Up towards those podium positions, but also right back there is on the final lap just for 11th place, just for pride. But Ente and Dynamite really battling it out there at the end.
Yeah, it was very tight towards the end, and of course as all the strategies converge, that's the great thing with these tires, is that you get a mixture of everything really. You get to see all the different strategies unfold as the race goes on, and watching them converge, and that's as interesting as watching wheel-to-wheel racing. So it's a fascinating race.
So with a win here today, Maznat will take the championship lead going into Azerbaijan, and Yeah, I mean, starting to look. I mean, him and Dubsy possibly just looking like the two sort of main contenders at the moment. We'll see if the likes of LGB in contrast are able to get right back up there. It didn't quite have the pace to hold with Maznat today. Maznat going for that alternate strategy on the soft compound tires instead of the mediums at the end of the race, and you have to say that really worked for him.
Yeah, it really did, and of course, a lot of drivers are learning a lot about the tires in this race, and I'm really surprised to see the soft tire go for so long on this circuit. Just from my own personal experience, I found that the tire wear was pretty high. So yeah, it shows Mazak made them last and extended his lead over LJB throughout the entire race, and you can see obviously Dubs seemed pretty disappointed, but even then with the damaged front wing, the medium managing the medium wasn't a problem. So it'll be interesting to see in tonight's European races to see what strategies people will go for.
Yeah, definitely will indeed. So on the note of those European races, if you want to watch more racing content, the Xbox Oceania race was going on at the same time here on the Apex Online Racing channel, so make sure to check that one out. And we'll be back here today at 8 p.m. UK time for the second round of the European leagues, also here in China, season 15, of course, though. But that's coverage from PC, PS4, and Xbox, all the top tiers from them, and I think a couple other of the F2 tiers as well. So once again, that's 8 p.m. UK time. I'd like to give a huge thank you to VTI for joining me in the commentary box today. Did a fantastic job, so thank you very much for that. And yeah, do you have any final comments before we hop off here?
None really. Just congratulations to Maznat and game on for the championship. Then I think Dubsy will be looking to try and capitalise that on the next couple of races. So we thought maybe it might be all Dubsy's way this season, but let's see what happens.
Yeah, certainly be looking forward to that one in Azerbaijan. And Dubsy had some great pace today. He wasn't quite able to make as much of it as he could, but he'll be back. He'll be back strong next week. All right. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining us. We'll wrap it up there, and I hope everybody has a wonderful Sunday.